AIF industry has grown at such a rapid pace in India that very few anticipated this. As of 11th May 2026, the total number of registered AIFs in India are 1904, up more than 160% from 732 AIFs as of March of 2021. The industry also has an AUM of 15.74 lakh crores and net investments of 6.45 lakh crores. However, this growth has created a structural problem for SEBI. The new scheme applications have increased more than 72% year over year, and as of 31st of March 2026, SEBI had more than 183 applications pending before them. Now, SEBI has come up with a framework to tackle this pending issue head on. SEBI has released a new scheme called GARUDA, which has come in line with the Lodge and Lawn scheme that SEBI released on 30th of April 2026. Let's dive into the details of what this scheme entails and how this will further accelerate the rapid growth of the AIF industry in India. Let's dive right in. Hi everyone, I'm Parth from Navigate AIF, and we are a legal tech company solving AIF compliance with AI. So Garuda is part of a multi-phase project by SEBI to streamline the process for scheme launch of AIFs in India. The Garuda scheme is phase 2 of this project, and in this video we will be diving into the details of the proposals put forth by SEBI to amend the AIF regulations to enable schemes to be launched much faster by AIFs, AI only funds and LVFs. First and foremost, let us understand what Garuda stands for. Garuda is the Green Channel AIF rollout upon document acknowledgement mechanism. So that is a full form of Garuda scheme. Again, SEBI has first given a background about AIF as an asset class, talked about the three kind of AIF schemes that you can launch. One is large value fund for accredited investors. Here each investor has to be accredited, and also each investor has to invest a minimum of 25 crore. Next are accredited investor only scheme or fund. Here again each investor has to be accredited. However, there is no minimum investment amount that has been prescribed for them. Some of the benefits given to AI only funds are that there is no pari passu right requirement for AI only funds. So that has been exempted for them. Also, they don't have to draft the PPM in the SEBI prescribed format, and the maximum number of investor cap, that is 1000 investor cap, doesn't apply to them. There are some other benefits as well for LVFs and AI only funds, and I made a detailed video about the same. Now, non-accredited investor scheme are the ones which exclude LVF and AI only scheme and angel fund. Angel fund also falls within the ambit of AI only funds, and these have been referred to as regular schemes. Also, for ease of doing business, SEBI launched a fast track mechanism on 30th of April. This we have already discussed in a separate video, where SEBI said that AIFs can start onboarding investors within 30 days of filing with SEBI. Now, the purpose of this consultation paper is to further ease the process of launch of scheme with phase 2. So, what are the proposals that SEBI has? One is for regular schemes to facilitate launch of new schemes after 10 working days of filing application with SEBI through a merchant banker. So, importantly here what they have said is the application has to be filed through a merchant banker for regular schemes. Now, to facilitate launch of first scheme, that is if you're launching a new AIF and not another scheme under an existing AIF. If you're launching a whole new AIF, that would be launch of first scheme from the date of grant of SEBI registration or after 10 working days of filing application with SEBI, whichever is later. This is the important part. So if you're filing a first scheme with SEBI, then the timeline for you is the date of grant of SEBI registration or 10 working days of filing of application with SEBI. So SEBI may delay this after 10 days as well. That is the idea here. And this is important because you are applying for the scheme for the first time. So there has to be a background check conducted to ensure that you are a fit and proper person, etc. SEBI may want to do additional checks here. For AI only schemes, to facilitate manager of AIF to file PPM directly with SEBI instead of filing it through a merchant banker. So here now what is happening is the benefit that was extended to LVFs, wherein they were not required to get a merchant banker to file the PPM with SEBI, has been extended to AI only schemes as well, who can now file the PPM directly with SEBI instead of filing with merchant banker. And the requirement of filing MB due diligence certificate, merchant banker due diligence certificate, has been replaced with the undertaking of the CEO of the manager or person holding equivalent position and compliance officer. So the CEO and compliance officer have to instead give an undertaking in place of requiring a merchant banker due diligence certificate. This requirement already exists for large value funds, and SEBI is now proposing to extend this for AI only schemes as well. To facilitate immediate launch of first scheme from the date of grant of SEBI registration and to facilitate immediate launch of new schemes upon filing of PPM with SEBI, along with the aforementioned undertaking of CEO or person holding compliance office. So that is the important part. Here for first scheme also, you can immediately from the date of grant of SEBI registration, you can launch. You don't have to wait for 10 days also. You can immediately launch from date of grant of SEBI registration. And also for angel funds, what they're saying is to facilitate manager of AIF to file PPM directly with SEBI in place of filing it through merchant banker. So here it is like there has been some back and forth with SEBI. Actually, originally, under the original angel fund regulatory framework, angel funds are not required to obtain a merchant banker certificate while filing the PPM with SEBI. Consequently, because they did not need a merchant banker certificate while filing PPM with SEBI, they used to also not take a merchant banker certificate while doing annual updates with SEBI. However, on 10 September 2025, last year, SEBI revamped the regulatory framework of angel funds and said that they have to now obtain a merchant banker certificate for filing new angel funds with SEBI, and consequently many angel funds even obtained a merchant banker certificate for doing annual PPM updates because the relaxation was removed from filing PPM with SEBI. Now again here SEBI is proposing that they don't need to obtain a merchant banker certificate and manager can directly file this with SEBI by giving an undertaking of the CEO and compliance officer. So this is some good benefit for the angel funds, which would also reduce their compliance costs. And to facilitate immediate circulation of PPM to their investors for soliciting funds from the date of grant of SEBI registration. Now next is the existing regulatory framework. So they have now described the existing regulatory framework which prescribes that AIFs have to first register with SEBI and they can launch schemes after filing a PPM with SEBI through a merchant banker at least 30 days prior, and SEBI then communicates its comments. Now upon filing of PPM, till recently SEBI was reviewing the disclosures made in the PPM, the MB certificate, providing comments if any to the merchant banker. Thereafter merchant banker and the AIF would carry out necessary changes in the PPM and take the same on record. Once this PPM was taken on record, then the scheme would be launched and the PPM would be circulated to prospective investors. Now this PPM taken on record bit has been removed, instead replaced, and SEBI is proposing that actually that they remove this PPM taken on record bit and instead replace it with SEBI granting certificate. And the above process was a revised and fast track mechanism as indicated in para 1.3. So in 1.3, SEBI has indicated the fast track mechanism that was introduced of 30th of April. Now what is happening is, what are the issues under consideration? So here SEBI has given some statistics as I was mentioning in the start of the video. The industry has grown rapidly, number of applications have grown rapidly, and SEBI has taken various steps to streamline the processing of AIF applications in order to ensure that minimum standard disclosures maintained. Template was also introduced in 2020. And SEBI has also discussed about accredited investors who have higher net worth and income criteria, and hence they are able to take informed decisions of their investments and also perceived to be well advised. So that is how SEBI is looking at this, that if you are an accredited investor, you are perceived to be well advised due to their ability to hire expert managers or advisors and well informed with sufficient financial acumen. Even the growth in the number of accredited investors has been provided here, where SEBI has said that the number of accredited investors stands at 2773, a growth of 327% in the last 11 months compared to 649 AIs by the end of May 2025. And this rapid massive growth that you can see here in the number has primarily been done because accreditation has been made mandatory to invest in an angel fund. So that is one of the key reasons why this has happened. Secondly, because to invest in a co-investment scheme, you need to be an accredited investor. So there were two major reforms on accreditation that came in. Also, SEBI seriously simplified the process a lot. And even in Navigate AIF recently, we've been seeing accreditations coming through same day or next day max. So the process has become very, very simple and fast. Also, what SEBI has said is that based on the data available, 30% of the total investment in AIFs is by accredited investors. So you can understand that this group represents a massive chunk of the investable funds and the total investments made in AIFs in India. Now, what is the proposal that has been given? First is reduction in the timeline for launch of regular schemes. So, to launch a regular scheme in India today, you need a timeline of 30 days. This is being reduced to 10 working days after filing application with SEBI. This is one proposed reduction. And in case of first scheme, this will be reduced to date of grant of SEBI registration or 10 working days, whichever is later. So, practically, date of grant of SEBI registration or 10 working days, and if SEBI registration doesn't come through in 10 working days, then you wait for the SEBI registration to come through to launch a first scheme of AIF. Then for AI only schemes and angel funds, exemption from filing through merchant banker, and immediate launch of scheme. So because accredited investors possess adequate financial sophistication, what SEBI is saying is that the risk appetite is higher, and AI only schemes have also been introduced to give them a boost and to boost accreditation also. Angel funds can onboard and raise only from accredited investors, as has been given by SEBI. And what SEBI is saying is for AI only funds, they can file the PPM directly with SEBI, again with the undertaking of CEO or compliance officer. And again, in the first launch of scheme, you can immediately launch upon filing with SEBI with the aforementioned undertaking. But since it's the first scheme, this will be done after grant of SEBI registration. So you file, the moment you get SEBI registration, you can immediately launch your scheme. And this will be made available to AI only funds. And for angel funds, the requirement of filing with MB has been removed. That is the idea. And immediately they can also start raising funds from investors after grant of SEBI registration. So SEBI has made a super nice graphic also here where you can see what the regulatory compliance and launch process would be, wherein LVFs and AI only funds can submit an undertaking from manager and launch immediately, and regular schemes will have to submit the merchant banker due diligence certificate after launch after 10 working days. So this has been made now, and the draft changes to the AIF regulations and the extant circulars that are currently in force have also been provided here in Annexure A. And SEBI has done a thorough stakeholder consultation here with IVCA, that is the industry association, to see what the industry participants' views are on this. And the practices and procedures followed in other jurisdictions were also examined, especially looking at how IVCA initially started with the review of disclosures in PPM and subsequently over a period of time stopped the review and put reliance on the due diligence certification provided by the applicant while processing scheme applications for AIFs. So even IVCA doesn't review the PPM and relies on the due diligence certificate that has been provided. And a similar approach is adopted by Securities Commission in Malaysia, where scrutiny of scheme documents is done post facto on a sample basis selected on risk assessment. So this is the stakeholder consultation SEBI did. SEBI is asking for public comments on these proposals as well, and you can reply to the same by 1st of June 2026 on this website. I'll provide a link to this consultation paper in the description of this video as well. Also, looking at quickly regulatory provisions, the amendments that SEBI is proposing to the regulations. First and most important amendment is to Regulation 12.123 of the AIF regulations, where SEBI is proposing to change the 30-day timeline to 10 working days here, and also providing that comments, if any provided by the board, shall be complied with by the merchant banker or manager of the AIF. Provided further that sub-regulations 2 and 3, that is applying through a merchant banker, shall not apply to accredited investor only fund, and accredited investor only funds includes large value fund for accredited investor as per the definition. Next is amendment to Regulation 19D. Regulation 19 is for angel funds, wherein again SEBI has said that filing through a merchant banker has now been deleted, and also deleted that board may communicate its comments to the merchant banker. That has also been changed now. Next is amendment to the SEBI circular dated 30th April 2026, which is on launch of scheme circulation of PPMs for non-LVFs and non-AI only funds. So these are regular funds. So AIFs can proceed with launch of new scheme and circulate PPM after 10 working days of filing application with SEBI. Again, for first scheme, it will be 10 working days of filing application or grant of registration, whichever is later, and no need for comments from SEBI. This has been removed. This is of course for AI only funds and LVFs. So this has been done, and timeline for first close, that remains as it is. A first close of the scheme shall be declared no later than 12 months from the date on which AIF becomes eligible to launch its scheme as stated above. So that is the idea. Another thing is proposed provisions to all applicable to be applicable to all AI only schemes and angel funds. So while filing the PPM of AI only schemes and angel funds, a duly signed and stamped undertaking by the CEO of the manager or a person holding equivalent position and compliance officer of the manager shall be submitted in the specified format. So this has also been provided here in the proposed amendments. One important point to be noted here is that the launch for a new AIF would still remain the date of SEBI granting the registration certificate, because when you're launching a new AIF and you have to obtain all the fund registrations, you cannot do so without receiving the SEBI registration certificate. So obtaining that for a new AIF is going to be important, and it remains to be seen how SEBI further streamlines the process to make it super fast to even give a SEBI registration certificate for a new AIF application that has been made to them.